Well, hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for being here today. I wanted to make this video because in the last interview I did with Buddy Mellon of Alien Protocols, I talked about this experience I had, which seemed very much kind of like classic ET abduction experience. And somebody wrote and said, hey, we'd like to hear more about this. Why don't you make a video? So here it is. So this is what the experience was. I was working at Farsight Institute with Dr. Courtney Brown in Atlanta, Georgia, teaching RV there after having learned it, earlier in the year. And so this happened very late at night, about 3, 4 a.m. I had this experience of being taken on this little ship surrounded by these kind of short, hairless kind of guys with kind of large eyes, but they didn't really look like the gray archetype. I would have to say more kind of hybrid, but they felt like friends that I hadn't seen in a long time, like kindergarten buddies or something. They didn't feel threatening or anything like that. And I was riding in what seemed to me like a car that was flying through space. All I remember it was totally dark outside, and I was wondering, if we're in a car, how come you can't see any street lights or anything like that? And the vehicle's making these kind of sharp turns here and there, so much so I thought we must be riding over the hills of San Francisco or something. And this dream was so vivid, if it was a dream, I can still remember every detail of it. So eventually we end up in a large mothership, and someone says to me, go see the bartender over there. He'll give you something to drink. So I go up to what seems like a bar, and I say, hey, hi to the bartender, and he gives me this clear liquid. I thought it was kind of a strange bar because no one else was there but me. And I drink the liquid, and the next thing I know, I'm kind of sort of passed out and on this metal table, and I'm being subject to a type of examination. It wasn't painful or anything like that. It was just kind of more like a neurological examination. There was something that was put over my head, and I felt like I was getting some sort of neutral brain scan. And it lasted maybe, half an hour or something like that. And then I'm told to get up and go back into this little car, spaceship, and before I leave I say, hey, where's all my stuff, my wallet and my keys? And a taller person says to me, they'll be all back in your room when you get back. So to get back on the little ship with the little guys, looked like kindergarten friends, kind of short and cute. They didn't say anything. Nobody spoke. It was all telepathic, kind of darting around through space, like this and that. All of a sudden, of my eyes, and I'm back in my bed at the Holiday Inn where we had the RV classes, and I look on the top of the TV, there's my wallet, my keys, all the stuff. I'm thinking, wow, that was a really vivid, weird dream. What was that, And so I didn't tell anybody about this the next morning, but people noticed that I looked kind of weird, and I actually felt like I had a hangover. It was a really strange feeling. I got to sleep a couple more hours after, waking up again. But the next day I just felt, and I don't drink. If I do drink, it's like a glass of wine or something. And this was a total hangover feeling, something I've actually never really experienced completely in my life, more than, a few times perhaps. And somebody came up to me and said, Simeon, your eyes look like they're going back and forth rapidly. What happened to you last night? So that was the thing about this, is I thought, if this is a dream, why did it leave these physiological symptoms? And how come someone else could even see that, something had happened to me during the night? It was really weird. And it sort of reminded me of Lynn Buchanan's experience that I wrote about in Black Swan Ghosts. This story he's told to people who've taken his RV classes and so forth, that, he had this experience and he was taken on a ship and they told him how to fly the ship and all that. And it's in detail in Black Swan Ghosts. But Lynn was never sure if this was a dream or a real experience either until they did viewing on it in the unit, and other viewers got it, and then he was visited by some government scientists who wanted to know every detail about the control device and so forth, and this confirmed to him that this was some sort of real experience. So I never knew if this was just a dream or a real experience where I was taken somewhere, or maybe like my spirit energy was taken somewhere. I can't make sense of it, guys, but that's the experience, and I could go either way on it. If you convinced me this was a totally dream, somehow leaving physiological effects the next day, something I've never experienced before, I guess I could go for that. Or if you convinced me this really wasn't a so-called abduction experience, and I mean it had all the characteristics of that, and it just seemed so incredibly detailed and unforgettable, I could go for that too. So there's one more little aspect to this story which is kind of interesting. Kind of a corollary is shortly after this experience, whatever it was, I started coming up with new ways to do RV using two hands. Normally, you know, you're just writing with one hand and probing and sketching with your dominant hand. But shortly after this experience, I got ideas about writing with one hand and probing, perceiving with the other, things like this to increase the bandwidth of the RV signal. So whether that had something to do with this experience or not, I can't tell, but I can say that that happened very shortly after that night. So I don't know, have you ever had any experiences like this? Why don't you let me know. So put your comments in the box below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care for now.